Benchmark 22A. We're going to practice arithmetic sequences and geometric sequences. Number one, write the rule for the nth term of the following sequence. So first you have to realize, is it an arithmetic or geometric? So are we adding or subtracting something constantly, or are we multiplying or dividing by something constantly? So let's look at this. Well, if I look at this, it looks like we're adding something or subtracting something. So what I do is let's see if we have a common difference. So right here, what we do is you just take this number, subtract this number, and we get -6. Then we take this number and subtract this number. Do we keep -6? Are we still subtracting 6? It looks like it. So the data does look like we are subtracting 6 each time, which means it's arithmetic, which means we're going to use this formula. This formula states that you start with A0, which is this term before the first term. So the term before this term, if you were to think about it, would be -1, because if we're minusing 6 this way, we add 6 this way. So the term in front of this would be -1. The common difference we just figured out, and you plug it in, there's the equation. Now the logic behind this equation states what this thing does. So first of all, it tells you a number in the sequence. If I want the 20th term, I plug 20 here and calculate it. The reason it works is what this is saying is you start at -1, which is before you start the sequence, and you're minusing 6 in times. So if I want the third term, I'm minusing 6 3 times, starting with the -1, starting before the sequence even started. It actually makes a lot of logical sense. Okay, so hopefully you can understand that. Anyways, write the rule for the nth term of the following sequence. This one, hopefully you realize it's geometric, because you are multiplying or dividing each time. Now since it's shrinking, you know it's divide. And what I do is I take 12 divided by -72, I get -1/6. Let's double check. Is -2 divided by 12 -1/6? Is it in common? Is it a common ratio between each? Yes. Now a good check is that if you're shrinking, you're going to have a fraction. Okay, you're dividing. Over here, if it's shrinking, you are minusing. If this was growing, you'd be adding, positive term. If you were growing here, this would be a number like 8, 10, 12. You're multiplying by something, not dividing. Just realize dividing by 6 is the same as multiplying by 1/6. And the negative, be careful, because it's alternating positive negatives. Your R is negative. Anywho, the zero term, we need the zero term for this formula. See it right here? We need the zero term. So zero term would be the term in front of this. So if you're dividing by -6 this way, you'd be multiplying by -6 this way. So if you multiply by -6, you get 432. So the term before we start is this, and this is your common ratio to the nth power. Now just like this one made some logical sense, this one makes a lot of sense too. Because with this one, if we start right here before the sequence, we are dividing by -6 in times. So if, say for the second term, I started with this right here, and I divided by -6 divided by -6. I divided by -6 2 times. So this actually also makes logical sense, because you are dividing by -6 this many times, starting before the sequence began. These are very similar formulas. Just make sure you tell the difference by which type it is, and be careful calculating your common difference or common ratio. Number 3 here, if we want to find the common ratio just of two random points, what you have to realize is basically here's a logical way of doing it. If I have the 4th term is 20 and the 16th term is -4, how far is it from 20 to -4? Well, if you take 20 and you go to -4, if you take the values -4 and -20, find the difference or the distance between these. Can you tell we shrunk by -24 from here to here? I shrunk by -24, or shrunk by 24, which is -24. And how many terms is it from 4 to 16? Well, if you subtract 16 minus 4, alright, so you're subtracting 16 minus 4, and that would give us 12 terms. So if you have a shrinking of 24 divided by 12 times, when you divide it, it's -2. What that means is you subtracted 2 12 times to get to -4. So again, you find the difference between these two numbers, subtract those, and then find the difference of the terms and divide them. Another way of thinking about it is slope. Think of this as 4, 20 16 comma negative 4, and this is slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and bam, you get it. Now the reason you know it's slope is if you look back here, see the common difference? This looks like a y equals mx plus b form. Y equals mx plus b, and m is your slope, which is your common difference. So if you just realize common difference is kind of like slope, because arithmetic sequences are lines, are linear. So either way, you can think of it either way.